Hi, honey.
Hi.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
For another episode?
Yes.
Of,
What?
Driving to the Reds.
With your favorite hosts.
That would be Larry.
And Inelia.
Yeah, we're ready.
Your evolution is important to me.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Tell me about it.
I spend every single day of my life creating tools and content for you to use in your self-work and evolution.
I can verify that is true.
Why do I do that?
Tell me.
Because your evolution is important to me.
Okay. Good to know.
However, I'm not going to read the whole newsletter because you have it and you can read it yourself.
No, you're reading it all.
No.
I'll read it for you then. The reason you're reading it all is that's our job.
That's your job?
That's our job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our job.
Try again. Read the newsletter, honey. You can do it. You can do it.
So I'm not going to read the newsletter because you have it already. What this newsletter is telling us is that me having your evolution as important and creating all this content and Larry and myself creating all this content is not enough. That's not enough. It's not going to do it.
Oh.
Okay? There are other aspects of this work that are important. One of them is for you and others to know that this work exists. You have to know that this work exists. Okay?
Okay.
So, have a look, see where you found it, and then share that with others so that others can know that it exists. Another part that's important is that this work is findable.
Yes.
So we need a location for it, right? So we have websites and platforms, and we're going to talk about a few of those today because it was Larry's idea to just put the work in a lot of platforms so that no matter where you're coming from or where your friends are, you're going to find it. And the last but most important aspect of these tools is that for them to work for you and the human collective, you got to use them. Because even if you find them and there's a location for you to find them and others to find them, guess what? If you don't use these tools, they're absolutely useless.
Okay.
So that's basically it. That's it. Basically this newsletter. And our people's evolution, our evolution, your evolution, our evolution on the planet is important. And I think that it should be just as important to you as it is for us. And I think it is. Yeah.
So, one of the reasons that we read this whole newsletter out is because one of the places we read it and one of the formats we read it exists.
Yeah, but that's recorded differently, not with us chatting about it. So.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's a different recording.
No.
Yes.
Well, it's a
You
different
invented
recording.
it. He invented it to have more locations, and now he can't remember.
I totally remember. We read it first, all the way through. That becomes our Substack's voice recording of the newsletter.
Is that what you thought?
No, that's what we do.
Oh, okay.
I'll write it all down someday.
Okay, you will.
Sure.
But that's really good, isn't it? Already we found out that there's a place called Substack where you can find the newsletter in audio.
You'll find the newsletter in audio and obviously in text. And someday, soon, Sunday's essay. There'll be Sunday essay.
Yeah, for once a month you get an essay. It's a monthly read.
Yeah, monthly read. A nice essay. Maybe, 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah.
3-4 pages. It's longer format than a newsletter.
Right.
And it'll address a topic of interest.
And there will be designed to generate discussion and exploration.
And impetus, or not influence, but inspiration to share. It's like, hey, I just read this essay. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And so it's like invitations.
Yeah.
All these are invitations for you
to
who
use
listen
the tools.
To use the tools and to share the tools in ways that is comfortable for you.
Yeah. some of these tools are pure information.
Right, it's just
information that we are ready for.
Another or a way of looking at something that you've maybe looked at 1,000 times, but not quite in this way. And once you look at it in this way, it's like you can't unlook it. It's like, oh, now I see.
Yes, you can't unsee
I see it. I see it. Now I see how that's like a pervasive thing. Now I can see it. Because when you can see it, you can choose it.
Exactly.
When you can't see it,
your programs are choosing things, or other people might be choosing them for you.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a sovereign choice.
That's essentially playing the game of powerless. Powerlessness. I'm powerless over my whatevers, programs.
Yeah.
So that's part of the expansion of awareness, is becoming aware of these programs.
Yeah.
Well, aware of stuff.
Yeah.
So situations, like I was walking down the street and I saw this dog and it running up at me. Remember that?
Yes.
So, I'm a dog person. I'm not terrified of dogs. I don't carry a phobia of dogs. No. I have tons. We have a herd of dogs.
You love dogs.
Right. But when you're walking in Spain on a country road up by a farmhouse with a loose, 150, 200-pound cane corso, whatever those things are.
200 probably.
It's like imagine a
Huge
pit bull
giant.
and then multiply a pit bull times a Saint Bernard and you get close to this dog.
Yeah.
And then it sees you. It's like he's laying on his thing. Then he looks over and he sees you and his eyes go open wide. And he stands up and he starts running straight for you.
Barking and growling.
And growling.
And showing his teeth.
Yeah. It's like, oh, let's see. Fear processing exercise. Do I have time for that right now? Let me see. I think I'll just stand behind you, honey. If you can't be brave, stand behind someone who can be brave.
But you could call it brave and things, but the thing is that human body elementals, they will react often with fear. Mm-hmm. And because you have a soul, your soul can override that fear so that you don't do silly things. Right? So if you started running, then you're suddenly a target, right?
Target, right?
Yeah, for the dog. So when I saw the whole situation, I saw it before the dog put his head up, but I knew that dog. And I turned around and faced Larry, and I said, Larry, do not be afraid.
Don't run.
Whatever you do not be afraid. Do not show fear. Whatever you do, don't behave in any way or form aggressively or try to run or anything. Just stand your ground. And he says, why? What's going on? What's going on? It's like that. And then he saw it and he was like,
oh my gosh.
So, and the dog,
It ran at me, it charged, it made a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
But
I stood in front of him, I did. And I said, down, sit.
And he did. And he looked, he was like, and I thought, phew. Yes. I did process some fear, I'm not kidding. I had to, in the moment, look at this and evaluate the situation and tell what you told me. Yeah. But also, I wasn't going to let some dog chew my girlfriend the first day I went for a walk. So,
we were literally just got together in 2014, huh? Yeah.
Yep. So in this case, in the situation, I could see fear ruling me. It's like, don't allow that. Don't allow the fear to rule.
Exactly.
Right. And so,
these tools
we made it
help you do
through it.
that.
The tool helped, and I could see it. I could be conscious of it. And in that case, if I had been afraid and run off, that's pretty baity. Or attacked it, or try to hit it,
whatever.
become aggressive. Then, that dog kind of probably escalates its aggression up to whatever level you want to.
Yeah, and he would have won because he was twice
our size and 6 times the mouth.
Yeah.
But of course, the next day I was light, fairy prepared.
Yes. What did you bring?
I brought giant roast rib bones with me from the dinner before.
You did.
And I had a pocket full of them.
You did. You carried a whole bunch of them.
So I was like, don't matter who we encounter now, I got candy for these things.
Yeah, I got it covered.
Got it covered.
And what happened?
No dog, never more.
No, he just looked at you from his house and just went back to sleep.
Didn't even come down to say hi. I was like, I even tried to. I got bones for you. He didn't even care.
Come on, doggy. Nah, nothing.
No. Which illustrates a little bit of the dissolving of the fear, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't have fear anymore. I didn't have, the energy that I was probably carrying in the walk of a stranger in a strange land. And hey, there's a stranger walking up on the fence, and that's why the dog ran at us. Of course, in that place, the fence is like a 1 foot tall piece of stone.
It came right at us.
The Chihuahua can jump over.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, in essence, I see the essays as a form of our storytelling to illustrate the experiences that we had in life that, I guess, liven up the tools in a way that's easy to recognize their utility, ability to use and function and whatever.
Yes.
So
indeed.
That's one of the ways. Plus the essays, I think I see those as being pretty entertaining, thought-provoking.
Yeah. That's my hope, because recently on Substack I got an email from Substack, saying we're trying to generate an exchange of letters. In most people who have studied things such as science or philosophy or other things, they have come across correspondence between two people, two scientists, two philosophers, two artists, or whatever. And this correspondence were long handwritten, long letters that went back and forth, and sometimes would take weeks or months between correspondence, the response, right? Because this is the thing about it too. It's like often when I used to do interviews or being interviewed, somebody would ask me a question and expect an instant answer. But from the conceptual aspect of looking at reality, sometimes these answers will take time. But today we're in instant gratification mode, and these types of correspondences don't happen. So to me, I would and they were showing, this person and this person are corresponding right now. Look at their letters. And I thought that was marvelous. And I'm trying to generate that type of thing with us as well. And I think the essay format would be absolutely marvelous. Now, who can respond and how interesting it might be, we don't know, right? It could be anyone that takes the time to look through everything and creates a response. And the response is not necessarily to argue against, because that wasn't seen very much, but it was like a development of the scene, a development of the ideas.
Maturation of it.
Yes, maturation, back and forth, and expansion. I mean, that's the concept, that's the core of expansion of awareness. When you let the awareness is enriching yours.
Right.
And so absolutely, these views and these essays and these newsletters for sure are there to expand their awareness. But
okay, so we're working on that. And the podcast, obviously.
First hour, second hour.
driving to the res.
Yes.
We probably should explain why it's even called driving to the res.
We do occasionally explain
Occasionally we bring it up.
Yeah.
Right. So we live about an hour from the res, and we live on the res, so we do a lot of hour drives.
Yeah.
And our hour drives were spent in conversations. Basically doing what you're just talking about. Yeah. Maturing an idea or having a conversation about a thought or a concept or whatever.
Yeah.
And then spending some time on it. And they were pretty interesting conversations. So we thought we would record them and then share them with people who might be interested. And that worked out good, except for
the noise.
The noise.
Yeah. There's a lot of issues with people not being able to hear anything we said because the noise was too impinging on the
conversation.
On the file. Yeah. And some people say, "Yeah, it's great. It's like being in the truck with you." And other people say, "I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Just can't listen.
Can't hear it.
It's too hard.
Too hard without noise. It's so grating." So...
And I've spent some time now watching other people who have formats in the field, and they'll be in the wind, or they'll be in a car, or they'll be on the river, or whatever, and the volume is like all over the place. It's just so hard to listen.
It is hard to listen.
So that's why we do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
We have the conversation like we're driving there, but in a way that's considerate of your listening.
Yes. Considerate of your ears.
So we're driving there in our mind.
Yes.
Actually, when we do our drive, we do often have the conversation still, but we take note to bring it in.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Okay, so this current iteration, we speak about the newsletter of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Every week, you write or share a newsletter that, describe, if you will, the source of this newsletter. Where's it come from? Why is it here?
Mm-hmm. Why do we do a newsletter, you mean? Or where does it come from?
Yeah, where does it come from? Where does the inspiration for I'm going to write about this week?
That's a really big question, and I think that would be one of those that needs to be thought out and explored. Where do your inspiration come from to stay alive? Where does your inspiration come from to have roast dinner? Where does your inspiration to wear a certain shirt comes from? That's a big, big question, right? I think that it might make it a little bit more interesting to know that I've written these newsletters months in advance and timed for very specific things that would happen in the future. So that adds a little bit of, magic in there, because when I wrote these newsletters, I remember you and I think Inelia also were saying, but we need to publish these right away, and once, twice, 3 times a week, or maybe once a day, we'll just put them all out, right? Because they're all relevant. And I said, no, hold your horses. These are coming out when they're actually most needed. When they're most needed, that's when they're coming out. And we looked at that, and you said, okay, we'll see how that goes. And then week after week after week, they have been. And some of them, when there were letters that were, there was one particular newsletter that was highly charged, and then we didn't need to publish it because that energy came through somebody else. Mm-hmm. Some other people brought it forth into our lives and into our readership. And I thought, that's great. We don't have to release this newsletter. So the job is done. We don't need to do it. And so that was great. But the rest, of course, are very topical. And occasionally we will insert a newsletter extra that has things that are new and happening and I didn't see coming, right? Mm-hmm. Like our fundraiser on the 22nd of December.
Right, the fundraiser.
I didn't see that coming. So we're having some newsletters and lots of news around it and announcements and things for people to join and have that fun and that get together and the energy. And I call it a little nudge to the human collective to give back and complete the circuit for all the free content that Larry and I do, because it's not free to create. It takes a lot of hours and editing, and we pay people to do jobs to put it on the internet, to edit the files and everything else. So that type of give back. Sometimes the human collective needs a little nudge or a reminder. Hey, here it is. Now you can support back. And people love it. I found that people respond really well. They go, oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, here's my $5. It's like, or 5,000, It's like, they really respond really well. And that response to me is super cool. I like it a lot. And so, for example, with those newsletters and stuff, I hadn't pre-written them, right? So they came new. And then we're going to have the Look at 2023 call on the 31st of December.
And that's linked in with our Subscribe Star.
Yes, Subscribe, Star, and Walk With Me Now are going to get into the second hour of that one, but the first hour is free.
First hour is free. We know, looking ahead at 2023. What kind of things, are, if you could write the newsletters and have them match the events of the
certain that we're going to be seeing quite a few interesting things coming up, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. And then the last few years of calls that you've done, I mean, I look at stuff daily and I go like, there it is, just what you said. Here it's showing up. And so it's not certain the response that the collective of people around the world are going to have to this thing, but the invitation, you can see that it exists.
Yes.
And then you can watch it come and then you can see what happens. Yeah. So like stars acting really crazy.
Yeah.
I know you said that. I'm like,
that didn't make any sense at the time.
That doesn't make any sense, but now it's like,
oh yeah, that's what it means.
Front and center stage.
And it's a message, right? It's a message of what's happening. So for 2023, I was looking at it already, and I find that there's already, last year when we looked at 2022, it was really hard because I had to look at two streams, like two timelines even, of reality and awareness. And one of them was individuals who are still very much enslaved in the power over others paradigm, and the other one were for individuals who are over it and are actually creating really beautiful high frequency experiences on Earth. So it kind of split into two, right?
Right. I think that's one of the bigger
it's tough for me
things.
To do that,
Not only is it tough for you, the data that I receive is from different sides, I guess, of the split. To some degree, right? Yeah. And often I will hear or see, people who are interpreting what they're seeing and think that it's one reality, but they're really kind of like straddling both.
Yeah.
They miss the part about the split part.
Yes.
And they bring the dramatic side of the split into the, lighter, fluffier side of the split, and they kind of mix them together. Like in this one is this, but they don't mix. That's the whole reason they were split.
Mix, yeah.
So it can throw you off balance for a while because you're like seeing you're seeing things that are not for you.
Exactly. The wrong thing, the things that are not actually for you, reminds me of a movie we watched yesterday. And in the movie, the main energy behind the movie, the main core energy behind it, was to tell people that to destroy evil, you need a larger, darker evil. And that larger, darker evil is good. And it's like, that is so false and it's so untrue. It's like, it's the opposite, actually. But it's really sold it, They came, we don't need a hero now. We need a villain to kill this other monster.
Worser villain.
Yeah, the worser villain, And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Because power over others is literally power over others. That power over others in the power over others paradigm does exist. It's only the worst evil that rules. That is true. But it's not that suddenly turn nice when it comes to power. It enslaves even more, and it tortures even more, and it does all the bad things even more. I remember also when we're growing up, at least I had that experience growing up, of choosing between good and evil. And I know some of my friends and siblings, they talked about it as children. I don't know if all children go through it, but I know that I remember them going through it as well, like a choice or like a conflict inside of them, or something was happening about them choosing this. And one of the visions that I had was aligning myself to this evil person who I had familiarity with. It was like a relative. And really loving this person. And when I was shown that this person was evil, my response was, it doesn't matter because I love this person, and because I'm their relative, they're going to love me back, so I'm going to be just fine, right? Which is the energy that was being portrayed in that movie. However, the reality was the opposite, because true evil doesn't love or care. And if they can sell you for their I don't know, benefit to I don't know, to grow in power or influence, they will do it, and they won't even think twice about it. You, as a light being, you would care about your loved ones, and you never sell them, right? Or you never sacrifice them or hurt them to gain power. But these evil individuals are the ones that are really power over others obsessed. They most certainly will. So that's why when Larry says the two can't exist in the same space, that is true, right? That's why that's true.
Yeah, I was just realizing some of the shows we were watching, quite a lot of them actually are infused with the martyr energy.
Yes.
And I always thought of martyr energy as light workers, like sacrificing yourself is the ultimate,
the good thing.
The goodest thing you could possibly do,
Yeah.
And that's, I think, reinforced many times in these shows.
Oh yeah, we've seen it a lot.
And I don't know if you noticed, but that was one of the energies that was used to bring about action in a larger group of humans, a larger group of people. It's like you need to do this, whatever this is, to save others.
Yes. You have to kill
You have to sacrifice yourself
and then
to save
everybody
others.
Else will be fine. Yeah.
And then everybody else will be fine.
Or you'll save your friend or whatever.
And so if you just consume shows and this martyr energy, which on its surface looks like it's helping, it's like, yeah, it's probably not so good for you, but look how many people you helped.
Yes.
And you have that happen over a period of years, or even decades, or even from, I guess, birth, because I think the martyr energy is infused pretty hardcore.
Yes.
In a lot of religions, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can go to the subconscious level where you're not even thinking about it, and you just respond from it. And then you can be manipulated. Basically, the manipulation is the part that we are expanding our awareness about. You expand your awareness, and then you aren't manipulatable.
Exactly, yeah.
You are consciously choosing. You could still decide, okay, I'm still going to do the martyr thing because, well...
But you can choose it consciously, which is different, right?
It is different, right?
Yeah. And some people say, well, I would never martyr myself. But if you complete the sentence and you get an answer, then you probably have. If at any area of your life you can say, I have sacrificed so much to get blah, 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 or for blah, 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 right? I have sacrificed so much for blah, blah, blah. Then you know, either today or yesterday or when you were younger, you did it. Right. You
sacrificed all of these birthdays to provide money for everyone. I just didn't go to birthdays. I didn't go to holidays. I had to work to support. There's the martyr right there. There's a savior.
Yeah.
It's that they are victims. Without your sacrifice, then they would suffer.
Exactly.
I mean, it infuses almost everything everyone does. Yeah. I'm going to sacrifice my life so that I have a retirement, so that I can provide for everyone when I cannot work anymore. Those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
They're the little teensy little things, but they infuse really all of the all of the decisions you make. They no longer are yours.
Yeah,
they're someone else's.
Yeah,
that's, I guess, empowered 101. It's like,
yes.
If you're not going to use your power, somebody else will.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you had the choice of your power, how are we going to use it? What are you going to use your power for? That's a good question. What are you going to use your power for?
Yeah. So when you stop sacrificing yourself and your birthdays and other significant dates, what happened? Did everybody starve?
It turned out that nobody starved. Nobody even suffered a tiny bit.
People actually enjoyed celebrating you.
They probably, It was actually, it worked out fine.
Yeah.
But I didn't sacrificing to sacrifice something else, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just become aware of it.
Yes.
And become aware of importances and aware of where I use and exert and have my power and what is my power for? And I claim that power for this purpose.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things. So, I would suggest to anyone listening, actually look at where you want to use your power and what for.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you say something, make it something that's actually understandable to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't say a thing that you think somebody else is going to hear and say, oh, you're so
cool
or spiritually enlightened or whatever, Yeah. Make it about something that's real.
Yeah.
Make it real, understandable, and shareable, and materially doable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Can you have an example?
Well, when we say, for an example, putting me on the spot, of course,
Yes.
I want to use my power to create environments for the higher frequency people in my life to gather. That's a tangible physical thing.
Yes.
And so when I wake up in the morning, I look around, I remember this is what I'm going to use my power, and see, it's today, could be tomorrow, another thing could be tomorrow. It's not stuck at one thing forever.
Right.
You could have a prime purpose, which we've talked about before. If you don't know what a prime purpose is, go listen. I'm sure Inelia can find a link.
Yes.
This is what I'm going to use my power for.
Yeah.
Me, what am I going to use my power for?
Yeah.
So I'll do that today. I'm going to make an environment. That's what I do on Sunday.
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So there's a basic example. I think we could probably get into this a lot more in the second hour.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. Yes.
Second hour, you get through the subscribe star. And Ilia and Adelina will spend some time listening to what we talked about. They'll be reading the newsletter.
Yes.
And they'll be asking questions from a perspective that might relate to the way that you might wonder. Also, expand on whatever we thought. So, it makes the conversation interesting.
I think so too.
It's just like the essay.
Yes.
Over time.
Yeah.
Because the second hour isn't happening right now. Guess what?
Right.
It's going to take 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, because that's exactly what they do. They take time to listen, to study, to look at. And within themselves as well. And, that discussion is much richer and larger than something that's spontaneously ask you a question and here it is,
Right. So I hope you can ask that question of yourself. What I'm going to use my power for? We could just say today. Yeah. That makes it a little easier. What I'm going to use my power for today.
And is your evolution also important to you? And is other people's evolution on the planet important to you? I'd like to know that too.
Okay.
So and why?
Where can they say it?
Yeah.
Where can they share it?
Oh, so we have a Telegram channel. You can share it there.
So just type in Inelia Benz in Telegram and you'll find it. Or look on the podcast notes. There's links there probably.
We also have a Twitter.
Oh, we do?
We do. Yeah. We have a the Substack. I think you can comment on there.
I'm pretty sure you can comment on there.
So. Walk With Me Now for sure.
You can comment on Walk With Me Now for sure.
Yeah. And Subscribe Star as well. So lots of ways for you to respond.
But I would like to read some. What am I going to use my power for today?
Yeah.
Comments. I'd like to see what people do.
And why is your evolution and other people's evolution on Earth important to you?
And why is your evolution and other people's evolution on Earth important to you?
Yeah.
Good questions. All right. Feel complete?
Yes.
Love you, honey.
Love you too.